Hello, today is Friday. It is 2:48 with about an hour left in the trading session. It was a brutal week. We're getting some decent price action Friday. I'll give you my thoughts. I'll give you the moves that I made. This was not, obviously, from the clients know, this was not a good week for me. We got rotated out of growth. I got stuck in some growth. We are 50% invested at this point. Want to see key levels hold. So it was a brutal week. And I want to show you why I need to kind of hold the positions that I have. If it goes below a certain level, I'm out. But the worst thing I can do in a market like this, when we are literally seeing 4% swings a day, that's happened the entire week where it looks like we're getting out of it and we fail. That's been a reoccurring theme this entire week. A lot of head fakes. Eventually we get out of this. So in reality, it's a big bond issue. The jobs report actually was very strong. That's actually not good for the market either. So, but we also sold off quite a bit. The indexes were fine. I haven't really gone down too much beyond the NASDAQ, but I mean, a lot of these indexes were below the 50-day moving average, which is a sell signal, which is why yesterday, actually, I sold about 50% when it went to 27.80. I sold 50%. And I understand a lot of the growth names still are struggling. So I'm basically flat on a day when the market is up 1.6%. So what's happening? You know, what does higher yields, what does that do? Really, we're seeing a rotation is what we're seeing. So, for example, the 10-year treasury goes up, and that means usually that it should incentivize people to buy bonds, but nobody's buying bonds because bond rates are still very, very low. Now the TLT, which is a 20-year treasury, a compilation of a variety, but in general, 20-year treasury bond, it's up a little bit today, which gives you some decent growth perspective. Like when TLT has been up, growth, it gives a chance to get moving. But in general, the move is down in TLT. Now it is still pretty extreme, but it can remain here for a while. So when yields are high, usually financials do well. And we have a few positions in financials. But what I need to be cautious of is everybody and their brother is saying, move everything to value, move everything to value. And I plan to on this dip because there is some nice opportunities in value that are not overbought. But you can see like even financials, the XLF, it's an ETF. Again, I usually don't trade ETFs. I usually do individual names, but this gives you the general focus of the group. You can see it still has some room to run. And if yields go higher, this is good for financials, and they could very well go higher. I own Ally, which has been a really good performer for us. Has held the 20-day for a long time, and this is a great chart. So strength in this chart, no doubt about it. Also XLE, which would be crude, usually not a great long-term play, but right now it is a nice play because all the stuff going on in Texas. Also, just in general, they had been beaten down. The price of oil was very, very low. You cut off the pipeline, not to be political, that is going to probably drive prices of the XLE. But now look, this is overbought. So what I'm basically saying to my clients is, listen, a lot of these areas that everybody is rotating to could still have room to run. But I got to be careful not to get out of all growth because now those names are pummeled. And I got stuck in a little bit of those names, which is not fun. But at this point, I do believe we shortly could see, and hopefully, even if it's a dead cat bounce, which means you get a couple of days of bounce in these names, I do expect that to happen. I don't think growth is done for. So over the last 2 weeks, I've been slowly adding to these names, which did not work out very well at all, to be honest. But what I'm not going to do is I'm not going to sell good quality names that are close to a bottom. So, for example, that I believe are close to a bottom. Again, you can have your own perspective, but some names that I'm looking at are like an SE are nice by the dip names. It's gotten pummeled, but this is a nice kind of recovery. I could go lower, but it's very low on the RSI, which for this name, that's pretty low. 30 is oversold, but we are starting to see some like really good names like CrowdStrike. Again, they're not in favor right now because of the rotation, but this is a nice hammer that I'm hoping holds. And again, you can see that actually did get oversold. So I'm hoping people recognize this week and they're kind of like saying, okay, value's actually had a really nice run. Where could we create some alpha? And it does not mean that these are done going down. I just kind of got stuck buying some of these names on the reversal. It's just a reality. So they're not in trend right now. I'm hoping for a rotation back shortly, even if it's for a couple of days. So kind of got stuck there in reality. It's part of the game. So we have some decent amount of growth that I feel very strongly about, very good about. But right now it's taking a hit. So it's really frustrating. But again, the reason I've made the moves is because a lot of these names, when I started buying them, were already down 15, 20%. So did we get hit this week? Yes. The last 2 weeks have been brutal. But we got to be careful not to sell every time there's volatility. And there's plenty of volatility right now, okay? So I wanted to show that to you. Wanted to show you the VIX, which is the fear index. We're getting to some pretty heightened levels and backing off, which is good. So we touched 30 again today, right on the dot. It kind of just shows you how important technicals actually are. And we are going much lower. So a lot of times you do get this double touch, like here, double touch, very close to a double touch right here. So I'm hoping the volatility calms down. And if that happens, that should be very good for some of the momentum names. Like, for example, like I'm not invested in this. I have been in the past, but it's not showing any strength whatsoever. So these names have gotten killed, like 159 to 105. Now is 116. This is probably due for a little bit of a bounce, even if it's for a day or two. So I'm hoping some of those names do okay, because I have a few momentum names that have just gotten spanked. It's a small portion of the portfolio, but it's enough to impact the portfolio, which is not good. So you can see it's oversold and it got a bounce quick. Like this is today, guys. We're seeing this was down 10% today. That is nuts. So we're in the process of going through a lot of volatility. We're testing key levels. S&P 500. Let's go back to some key levels that, again, really the 3830 is another level of resistance. This is a fantastic move. Not sure it holds, but in reality, we're not going to complain about a move like this, okay? I would ideally like to see it. It's highly probable, as you can see, like when it gets up here, it's probably going to test this, drive people insane, make people lose their mind up here at the 50-day moving average and probably test it for a while, okay? So be real about that. It's probably going to happen. The gains are not going to come back in a day, okay? It's going to be up 3, down 2.5, up 4. It's going to be nuts. And hopefully it slowly grinds to get more people involved. So I hope this helps. It's frustrating. I'm not happy with my performance whatsoever this week. But what I'm not going to do is I'm not going to panic sell at oversold levels. Especially when volume spikes high, it's usually not a good time to sell. And I'm glad I was very close to selling today when many of these names, several momentum names, were down 6-7%. So hang in there. I know it's brutal, but if you have questions, let me know. Again, none of this is advice. This is informational purposes only, but I could go over sentiment. It is improving. The put call ratio is finally showing some concerning signs, which is good. I want to see people freaking out. That means we're about done, which we saw on the VIX, pretty close, I think. Put call ratio is a little complacent, which is why I don't think this is quite over yet. So I have 50% cash ready to add. This is doing really well today. So can't complain about the price action today whatsoever. So this continues to go high. Could we get a little bit of sell-off into the close? Would not surprise me. But hang in there, okay? I know this is brutal, but we'll get through this as we always do. Thanks again, guys. Have a good one.